Kia ora, good evening. Are we becoming tenants in our own country? Last year, the amount of land sold to foreigners was 5 times more than in the previous year. But the Minister of Land Information told the Q&A program today that the government won't be starting a register of overseas owners. Here's Jessica Much.
This is Hunter Valley Station near Wanaka. It's our largest lakefront property looking out over Lake Hawea. It's recently been purchased by American TV presenter Matt Lauer, and locals are angry they don't have as much access anymore.
We can all stand at the end of Lake Hawea and look at the view, but if we know we can't go there and enjoy it, there is no freedom for us.
Some locals are stunned the TV host didn't agree to an easement through his property into the massive Hawea conservation area.
There's a general perception that there's a dereliction of duty from the government. They have to uphold the values of New Zealanders and manage New Zealand's wilderness and properties in our best interest, and they have failed to do that.
The lawyer who helped Mr Lauer buy Hunter Valley spoke to Q&A, saying he's had a surge in interest in foreigners buying property here.
When I look out the window, I know who owns the stations, but I don't put a flag on them. I look at the landscape, I don't look at the ownership. The land is not going to go anywhere.
According to the Overseas Investment Office, last year foreign buyers bought 5 times more land than the year before.
Do we risk, though, becoming tenants in our own country if we continue to let this happen?
No, I don't think we do. I think that the percentage of land that goes into foreign ownership and attracts foreign investment is actually very small in terms of the productive land that we have in New Zealand.
At the moment, it's only iconic or sensitive land that's counted, so there's no exact figure.
But it's not robust now, is it?
Well, it's getting better and better, and in terms of the OIO, we are able to monitor and watch very carefully in terms of the applications that are coming through the office.
New Zealand First wants a register to monitor the full extent of overseas ownership, but the government has said no thanks. Jessica Much, One News.
And of course all the congestion in our cities like Auckland, for example, is because our infrastructure can't cope with all the immigrants that have come in, and as a result the New Zealanders have suffered and our productivity has suffered, and plus we've sold out our industry to China. And remember way back in the 2014 general election how Winston Peters stood up and spoke about the Chinese and John Key ridiculed him?
They seem to make you shiver within. Let's turn it around, babe.
And it's not a matter of political convenience, it's a matter of political principle. We just do not find New Zealand First acceptable. We are ruling doing any sort of deal with Winston Peters and New Zealand First out.
Mr Peters will be unacceptable as a minister in a government led by me.
Let's turn it around, babe.
I want to lead a positive aspirational government, and I don't believe a Winston Peters government does that. If Winston Peters holds the balance of power, it will be a Phil-Goff-led Labour government. Historically, he's always been sacked by Prime Ministers, and I'm about tomorrow, I'm not about yesterday.
Let's turn it around, babe.
Well, I think partly it reflects that the country doesn't want to see Labour and the Greens in office, and so if it means having to deal with New Zealand First, a lot of our supporters I think would prefer to see that situation.
Let's turn it around, babe. 'Cause it's getting us down.
Well, hooray! The days of a John Key-led national government are over, and it turns out it's very simple to stop foreigners from buying a land. You just legislate against it.
And legislation to ban foreigners from buying houses in New Zealand will be introduced to Parliament tomorrow.
The government today revealed new information about who will be exempted from the law. We'll have a live analysis from political editor Corin Dan shortly, but first he has the details and reaction.
While the market might be showing signs of cooling, the Housing Minister's not taking any chances and is pushing on fast with his foreign buyers ban.
This is about changing the policy settings for the long term.
The legislation to change the Overseas Investment Act will be introduced to Parliament tomorrow. In future, only New Zealand and Australian citizens will be able to buy residential housing without undergoing any special screening tests.
For all practical purposes, foreign buyers won't be able to buy residential property unless they are increasing the housing supply or providing benefit to New Zealand.
And of course it's hard to see the difference between the National Party and the Labour Party sometimes, and that's because our National Party is so liberal that we don't actually have a conservative representation in our country anymore. But of course Winston and Jacinda are in power now, and so we can all be happy together.
Communities large and small are feeling the stress and dealing with homelessness that we never ever used to see in New Zealand.
Imagine me and you, I do. I think about you day and night. It's only right to think about the girl you love and hold her tight.
And of course all the congestion in our cities like Auckland, for example, is because our infrastructure can't cope with all the immigrants that have come in, and as a result the New Zealanders have suffered and our productivity has suffered, and plus we've sold out our industry to China.
So happy together.
Legislation to ban foreigners from buying houses in New Zealand will be introduced to Parliament tomorrow.
You and you for me, so happy together. I can't see me loving nobody but you for all my life. When you're with me, baby, the skies will be blue for all my life.
Good evening. Are we becoming tenants in our own country? Last year, the amount of land sold to foreigners was 5 times more than in the previous year.
This is Hunter Valley Station near Wanaka. It's our largest lakefront property looking out over Lake Hawea. It's recently been purchased by American TV presenter Matt Lauer.
There's a general perception that there's a dereliction of duty from the government. They have to uphold the values of New Zealanders and manage New Zealand's wilderness and properties and our best interests, and they have failed to do it.
Me and you and me, no matter how they toss the dice, it had to be. The only one for me is you, and you for me, so happy together.
Just moments ago, NBC News Chairman Andy Lack sent the following note to our organization. Dear colleagues, on Monday night we received a detailed complaint from a colleague about inappropriate sexual behavior in the workplace by Matt Lauer. It represented, after serious review, a clear violation of our company's standards.
Get in, ladies.
Again, really? It's the third time this week. Did your mom make you
And so that's all I have time for in the 3-part series about New Zealand. And of course, in order to be happy together, we need to understand the things that we've been talking about in these episodes. So bye for now.